I picked up this Record 112 heavy duty vise the other week from someone local, and it was in a little bit of bad condition. The front plate here, you can see it's got a crack on it, and the main screw was bent. Now, I didn't see this before I bought it. I just picked it up, and I was a little bit worried if the actual main screw was going to be bent or if it was just the front that was bent, but it's definitely been dropped. It's definitely taken a little bit of a wallop, but we're going to start with just dismantling it first of all and just see the damage that we've got to deal with here. So here you can see that crack. Now I had to take off the quick release, and you can see that the bar at the bottom is a little bit bent here, so I can actually pull it out. So first of all, I needed to straighten that bar, so then it will just pull out, and then I'll be able to get access to the nut and that main screw. So that is the thing that I'm most interested in, just seeing the condition of the screw. And thankfully, the actual main screw itself and the thread is actually in pretty good condition. It's not bent at all. It's only just that top part of the screw with the handle on it. And that's good news, because I think a replacement screw for this vise is about £150. Once I've got the parts all separated, I can get started with cleaning it. So I just put it in a tub of hot water here with some fairy liquid. I'm going to give it a scrub and just get as much kind of dirt and grime. Seems to be quite a bit of soil in the bottom here. I'm not sure if this was maybe sitting in someone's garden. There is quite a clear line of rust where the paint has come off at the bottom of the vise. Yeah, I don't think it's been kept indoors, but it's not too rusty. You can see that the paint has stayed on most of the parts here. Now it's time to remove the quick release sections. This has just got a pin through the nut which holds in the spring and the main quick release bar. And you can see that the lever section of here is quite bent up. So this is probably what has taken most of the force when it's been dropped, and you can see that obviously that has caused the crack. Then once I got all of the parts separated, I put it in a vinegar bath here, and I left it for a few days, and that gets off most of the rust, most of the grime, and it also gets off a lot of the loose paint. Now I'm just using a wire wool brush just to get off the stuff that the vinegar didn't get off, and it makes cleaning just much easier. Now I'm just taking a wire cut brush just to clean off as much of the old paint as possible. The paint at the bottom come off really easily, but the paint on the top actually seems to be adhered pretty good. I went over and over with the wire brush to get off as much paint as possible, because I do want to repaint it, but it's really stuck on there, so I think it's a good enough substrate to paint over. Next, I'm just polishing the machine surfaces with a wire wheel, and then I'm just giving it a once over with a sharpening stone just to get off any of those burrs and little dents and dings, as this has probably been stored away for some time. I just want to take a quick pause to thank the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. They offer a huge range of services from 3D printing, PCB manufacturing, and other services for any maker or startup. From CNC machining to injection molding, they can handle pretty much anything you need. On top of that, they offer low volume orders and fast turnaround times for all of their services, which is great for those one-off prototypes or jigs. Check out PCBWay.com today. Once I finish deburring it, I just give it a quick rub with some IPA, and now it's time to prepare the surfaces for painting. So I'm just going to cover the machine surfaces in masking tape, and then I'll be painting the rest of it. I opted to use Genelite anti-rust metal spray paint, and this is in white color just for the base coat. And then I've gone with Hammerite, and this is the direct to rust version. And I've gone with yellow. I haven't really seen too many yellow vices up on YouTube. I really like bright colors. I generally dislike the kind of typical blue or green colors that you see with these vices. I would have preferred to have gone with like a nice bright orange. That's kind of like the filament that I use for my 3D prints. That's usually the color I like to incorporate. But yellow was the closest one that I could get. This is a really nice punchy yellow color. And with this Hammerite, it goes on quite thick, so you don't really need too much of it. This tin is going to last me quite a long time, because I've probably used about a fifth of it really just to do this entire vise, and I did have to do a few coats of it. I think I did 2 coats in total. Now the only problem with this Hammerite is it takes absolutely forever to cure, essentially. I was reading on forums to see how long it would take. Some people say it does take months for it to fully cure. I've had this in my workshop for I think about over a month now, and I can still dig my fingernail into the paint and I can leave an impression. It is getting harder and harder as each day goes on, but yeah, just be aware that it does take a huge amount of time for the paint to cure. Next, I'm just polishing up all of the rest of the parts. So these were the jaws. They've got some marks on the top of them, but the actual clamping surfaces are in very good condition, so I didn't really need to do much to these. So I've got all the parts all nice and polished. Spent a lot of time going over it on the wire wheel. You can see I've got that crack in the quick release plate here. This was a tiny bit of metal actually holding this together. It did actually fall apart in my hands when I started to try and work on it. The rest of the parts are in good condition. It's just that quick release plate and obviously the lever, which you can see is also bent there on the right side. That's part of the quick release as well, which did take, I'm guessing, the brunt of the force when it was probably dropped. So it's time to try and fix this quick release plate. What I'm doing is just adding a bevel to the edges to give a little bit more surface area for this weld to adhere to. I'm not sure if this is cast iron or cast steel, but it seems to be holding up and taking the weld okay with my TIG welder here. So this is the finished result. So now I need to just try and straighten this plate as well because it was cracked and it's also bent. So I'm using which is like a little souffle flame here, which did absolutely nothing, as you can imagine. So I went out and bought myself a MAP gas bottle and a torch. And yeah, I managed to get this heated up and I was able to bend this. Now I put it in a vise to try and straighten it out, and you can see that I did actually crack the weld here. So I had to grind away the weld, re-weld it, and then I was able to heat it up again and actually get it straight. For the lever, same thing again, just heated it up with the MAP gas bottle, and then I was able to just bend it relatively straight. This was good enough. You can see I've got it relatively straight here. So it only took about 5 minutes to heat that up with the MAP gas bottle. Now it's just time to remove the masking tape. Obviously the paint is still a little bit wet here, but it's dry enough where I can actually put it back together. I'm just putting a little bit of whey oil on all of the surfaces, and it slides so nicely compared to the state that it was in. So all I'm doing is putting the nut at the bottom, and I've got that plate just to hold it in place. Now it's just time to put in the quick release plate, oil up the screw, and just feed it all through. And now I'm finally just tightening down that quick release plate, testing the quick release, testing the vise screw as well, and everything is moving perfectly. And now it's just time to bolt in the jaws. I've only got 3 bolts for these jaws. I'm missing one, so I think I'm going to have to make another one for that. Lastly, I'm just putting a black Sharpie on the letters here, and that is it. This is the refurbish done. This turned out really, really nice. This is an absolute beast compared to the 3-inch vise that I was using previously. This was an absolute bargain, and I've been using it so much since I got this fixed and repaired. So really, really happy with this vise that I found on eBay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching it. That is it. I will catch you later.